How is everyone today? Happy New Year. We are excited to see everyone again. Today is Friday, January 5th, 2024 already, Amanda.
I had to write a check the other day and I'm like, what day? You have that like moment of like, what day do you put down?
Oh my gosh, what a whirlwind the last few weeks.
Yes.
I know, right? And now getting ready for spring, which we know spring is another very busy time in our line of work, right? Between all of the college acceptances coming in, financial aid process, just now that whole change that just happened. And then with juniors, of course, this is the busy test taking time for them, for the SAT or ACT. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity to just kind of talk to you guys today and give you some strategies and some helpful hints as you start to plan out your testing schedule and test prep calendar and how you're going to obtain that score that you're shooting for or you're aiming to get, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I know we are busy talking to our families that we already work with and some of the families that are coming on with us. And it feels like, and I have a junior, right? And I've mentioned that on these few calls where like, okay, we have to have this conversation, right? We really need to buckle down and think about how do we use spring semester because it's critical, right? It's one of the last few things to add as whether it be academic planning, whether it be your resume, like you're really kind of looking ahead and be like, what's my next 1 year plan, right? And building that out, what's missing, what do we need? But then the most important piece right now is what am I doing with test scores, right? So all that sort of coming together right now. And for a lot of families, it's very stressful for
It
sure.
is. It really can be. And really, we just want to help kind of break down that. And so, probably when we're asked where to start with this process, is one of the most basic things, really, is kind of taking a look at an old PSAT score, right? A practice test. Where do you stand? What areas do you need improvement on? And how am I going to get just kind of a refresher in certain topics and areas that you may just need a little bit of reinforcement in order to get those questions right when you take it in March or next month if you're doing ACT. So we would definitely say talk to someone, talk to us. We're happy to help, or teachers at school, counselors at school, test prep professionals, in kind of reviewing the practice test to see where you were, what your scores are, and then coming up with a plan on how to increase those scores, whether it be both sections, all sections, just one section, whatever it is.
Well,
So
and I
that's
think a lot of families, obviously the new PSAT, the digital PSAT and the digital SAT is now officially out, right? And some sophomores and some juniors were able to see that with the PSAT. But I had some students that came back that hadn't started really test prep yet, and their PSAT scores went down from sophomore year. So do be careful if you are a junior and you're feeling a little stronger than what you might be on this new test is to make sure that when you're doing a pre-test that you're taking the new digital SAT because it's a different pace, it's a different sort of questions and how they sort of route you through the test is different. So your strategy does change comparatively to what it was on the paper test. So really pay attention. What did your 10th grade or you at paper PSAT or the digital? So if you have the opportunity, like we have a digital pre-test for the digital SAT, you definitely want to sit down and take that. And then you definitely want to sit down and try at least taking the ACT as well, digital, or not the digital, but like on a practice test. And so I find a lot of families are like, oh, I'm just going to go sit the day of the test and then see what my score is. And I'm like, you can do that at home. Like you don't need to wait until April and not
right.
have that piece of information if one of those tests is better or worse than
Exactly.
the
Right.
other.
Right. And a lot of times too, I say, do a diagnostic on the ACT, a diagnostic on the SAT. And of course, our program Methodize has those diagnostics. And then look at the concordance chart, right? And
Exactly.
see which test do you kind of perform better on naturally. And then kind of use that as an indicator too, as to how to, how to proceed and what test to take. Like you said, two different tests, but sort of similar. So I'm always like, it's kind of like McDonald's and Burger King. It's kind of the same thing, but they offer different things and they're going to be a little bit different. So yeah, so that's a lot of places. That's a great place to start. And then different options. We always suggest kind of looking there's group classes and individual classes. And so I don't know, there's a big difference, of course, between those two types of preparation and kind of thinking about what one would be most beneficial for your situation. What kind of learner are you? Do you want a big class, or would it be more effective if you did one-on-one, kind of diving into the specific areas where you feel you need the most help? So both beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, part of it, like you were saying, Jessica, is where your score is currently at. So like if you're sort of in the beginning process, a group class can get you pretty far. But if you've already kind of honed in a little bit and you really need it, it comes down to just a few problems, then you really need to work one-on-one with a tutor, because as you kind of keep going up that chain, it's going to get harder and harder to change your score without really focus. So typically our self-paced ACT SAT course is fantastic. Go
Fantastic.
into the practice test, get in there, kind of see what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Second option really is to do a group class. Obviously they're cheaper, right? And a lot of times you can get the recordings so you can do them on your own time. And then really that third option, that kind of final, like really punching it out, getting the score you want, sitting down with a tutor, getting that extra time and diving into your specific, what you need comparatively to a general class.
Exactly. Right. So, and I've seen a lot of students kind of do a combination of all of them, right? So the Methodize, amazing. I also love the vocabulary builder that we have in there. And I love the different lessons and topics and the self-paced and the flexibility it gives to the students to maybe do it during a study hall, like do a module during a study hall during the day, or incorporate it into your study plan when you're able. So very effective, and kind of at the comfort of your own timing and schedule. And then the classes, of course, live instruction. So that's really helpful too, to be able to interact and ask questions and get the most out of that. And then, like you said, the one-on-one, again, once you're really shooting for that goal score, right? To really do that. So,
well, and that's why we added that within our ultimate college advising package, because, alongside of that, a test score will get you so far. Like a test score gets you in the door, it can get you some opportunities, but not everybody's going to be testing where maybe they want to be and they want to go test optional, or we don't know that until we get the highest score possible, right?
Right.
And so once we have that, then we have a whole other plan on your application, but it has to be comprehensive. So in our ultimate package that we do, it's the self-paced, it's the group classes, it's the one-on-one, to really make sure we're coming at it from all angles.
Exactly. And we've had so much success in students and families. I mean, it's an incredible package, just because you get the 25 hours of advising, and a lot of families are kind of allocating some of those hours to go towards the tutoring, which we understand is such a critical piece to the whole application process. So they're getting so much test prep along with the resources and the one-on-one advisor for the college planning part. So I'm like so excited that we're offering that now under one umbrella, right?
Yeah, no, and we got financial aid under there and scholarships under there, but so we kind of talked about the test prep. So we also have the college admission side. What should we be doing to kind of start this process? And we kind of have our sequence of documents and things that we like to focus on, and which kind of leads to next Wednesday, the 10th. what time? 8 to 9 Eastern. We're going to be talking about building your resume. It's one of the first things that if your student doesn't have a resume, or we do it a certain way so it aligns with their college application. So by doing our resume and how we format it, your child's already starting their college application. So it's a critical piece. And that, when I said, the junior on to, summer and everything else, it's such a pivotal time. Having that resume, we can see where are they at, what's missing, what do we need to add, and really start bolstering that up so they have a great application.
Exactly, because this is the time when a lot of students that I've worked with in the past were like, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, if I only knew that.
Yeah.
And so by doing this exercise so early on in the year, it really gives them that opportunity of the next 6-7 months to kind of fill in those gaps and just really strengthen their college application. And getting different experiences or participating in different activities before we have to fill out that application starting in August. So, so our webinar coming up on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, we'll be talking about crafting your college resume and all the different important and critical pieces and components that should be going in there and what to be thinking about. And even if you're a sophomore, even better, you have more time to kind of be crafting this and thinking for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So much to do. I know we're in the thick of, I did the Boston trip, a few months ago, and, looking at state schools and a variety of schools. And even if we are driving somewhere, stopping by campuses, checking out small, big, rural, urban, the more exposure your student can get in that process, the better, right? So definitely that's all part of it. I know we're going to talk more about that sort of later, but just kind of keep that in mind with spring break and everything else. If you are going to do college visits, now's the time to start planning for those, because those spots fill up really quickly. So
yes, good point. And the same thing with testing. So testing locations too. So make sure that we have a testing calendar that we can, attach to here if you'd like to see it, but it just has all the dates on it for the testing, ACT and digital SAT and the ACT coming up in the spring. So make sure you register. It's never too early to register for those. In fact, you need to register early. So this is the time to kind of put that calendar together for that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do not want to miss big dates. And, a lot of families try to wait until summer, but I know summer, junior, senior year is always busy with vacation and college tours and trips and everything else. Like it's difficult, and you got AP testing at the end of the year. So I definitely like to hit the spring test schedule to have.
And it doesn't exactly, and it gives a shorter window to improve that score if colleges need those scores early on in the fall. So so good points. Yeah, definitely. Early is the key for all of this.
It is. It just reduces the stress so much, but it's a scaffolded approach, and that's what we use, right? To make sure that we don't look at the whole picture, because we can't do everything right now, but there's some little things we can do. And starting that test prep using the right programs is really number one, because I always feel bad when we get those families that come to us after using another tutor or somebody else, and it doesn't work for them, and they weren't good, and their scores really weren't increasing. And so, we really pride ourselves in that increasing of the score. So
exactly. I mean, and just last point is that all of those testimonials that came in last month, right before break, of all of the December SAT scores,
oh my gosh, I mean the
200 points.
The Tufts and admissions to Yale and admissions, all over. It's
exactly
because of our test prep and because of our College of Ising. It's phenomenal.
It's a perfect match.
It is definitely.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, come hang out with us again. Longer, more, not so casual. Still us chit-chatting, but we're gonna have a great time. Resume is such a huge part of the application. Huge. So this is going to be a major webinar. Lots of people will be on, but we take time and we will stay later and answer questions and dive into it. So definitely put that on your calendar to see us Wednesday night.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you, Jessica. Great to
You're
see you.
welcome. Have a good weekend.
All right. Bye.